How do you get jacked while having an autoimmune disease? You want to get jacked, but you're sickly. Well, I'm not jacked, but I do have an autoimmune disease, so ha. So there are three overarching factors that predict muscle gain progress. Number one, by and large, is the amount of calories you could get down with adequate protein. This is the biggest one. Number two is progressive overload. And number three is quality sleep. Number one is the biggest one. You could do number two and number three, but without number one, you won't make gains. So in my case, my autoimmune disease was Crohn's. It was a severe case, and I have to be on biologic medication. And that totally nulled number one. I couldn't stomach food, let alone eat enough food to bulk, let alone go to the gym for a workout. So I've learned the ways to get jacked while having an autoimmune disease. I don't know, I still haven't gotten jacked, but at least I learned how. So, number one, if you're in the forest fire phase, if you have an autoimmune disease and you're in a severe flare, then medication should be used at this point to control the symptoms. But understand that it does not address the cause. It will never address the cause. And if you don't address the cause, it'll probably just make things worse in the long term. But when you are in a severe flare and you do have an autoimmune disease, addressing lifestyle factors might not cut it at that point. It might be too far out of your control. And going on medication will give you breathing room to address the cause. The cause is lifestyle factors. And what those factors are is a whole series of videos, and it's outside the scope of this video. So, number one thing that you need to do to get jacked while having an autoimmune disease is address the forest fire phase, get on medication so you could have some breathing room to make lifestyle changes. Number two, begin addressing the cause straight away. You can do this even before you get on medication, but as mentioned before, oftentimes medication will be needed to get a severe flare under your control and build up your health from that point on. Some people may not need medication, but for a severe autoimmune disease, for a flare, I'm not talking about remission here. When you're in remission, you're basically a healthy person. But for a flare, most times you will need it. Okay, so that's number one, get on medication. Number two, start addressing the root cause. Number three, once your symptoms are under control to some degree, and this goes for skinny guys, begin an aggressive bulking protocol. I don't mean aggressive as in do a dirty bulk. I mean aggressive in terms of volume in the gym, consistency, most of all. You must be aggressively consistent, and progressive overload. Now, this entire time, you will want to stay on medication as you improve your health and you build up your muscle mass over time. Having more lean mass actually protects you from all types of diseases, all causes of death. So you want to build up that lean mass, stay on medication while you can, and your health will be slowly improving over time. It's not going to be a straight fucking parabola going up. It's going to be an up and down, but as you build that lean mass, it'll get higher and higher and higher. As you stay on medication, as you build up your volume, consistency, progression, make sure you're eating in somewhere between a 250 and a 500 calorie surplus. If you just started lifting, make it like 500 calories. Now, if you're over fat, because I'm not going to say overweight because some jack guys are overweight. If you're over fat, this is going to be different. You probably want to eat at maintenance and recomp, or you want to actually eat in a deficit while doing all the same stuff I said. Going aggressive in terms of volume, consistency, and progression. But many times people with autoimmune diseases will be underweight. I mean, in the case of Crohn's disease, which is a form of IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, I mean, you can't even fucking eat. So that's why I just speak from experience. Okay, and so while you're doing that, avoid unhealthy triggers in your diet and environment. Now, these triggers are also a whole series of videos of their own environmental toxins. It's outside the scope of this video. But the reason I say this is because becoming careless about your health in favor of physique goal will lead to less gains and a worse physique in the long term, even if it leads to better gains and physique short term. This happened to me. I bulked from 140 when I had my last Crohn's disease flare all the way up to 190. That's a 50-pound bulk, and I looked good while doing it. I wasn't overbulked. And then I went on a severe cut to get shredded. My goal was getting shredded. But when I kind of reached those 150s and I actually had a lot of lean mass on me, that was super shredded for me. That was single digit body fat. And it put such a strain on my body that it literally put me back into a fucking flare. And now I can barely work out. So even if it's in that very long term, you might not be able to see it 2 years from now. It will be worse for you. If you neglect your health in terms of some kind of short term progression, never put your body under that much strain. Always maintain a healthy baseline. Being lean is totally fine. It's healthy. Being shredded was too much for me. Might not be too much for you. Being overbulked might be too much for some people. Whatever it is for you, avoid those unhealthy triggers when you try to favor having that good short-term physique. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are the big ones. The amount of calories you can get down with adequate protein, progressive overload, quality sleep, getting that forced fire flare under control with medication, address your root causes, and over the course of 1 to 2 years, you will get jacked. Maybe you'll probably get more jacked than me. I don't know, but I'm losing gains because I didn't follow my own fucking protocol.